So now we are going to discuss accrual basis. A while ago, we have discussed the different accounting principles. First, we have discussed the business entity principle, and then we have also discussed the dual effect of business transactions, and next, matching principle. Now we'll go to accrual basis. When you say accrual basis, the income is recognized when it is earned, regardless when cash is received. And expenses are recognized when incurred, regardless of when cash is paid. So, dalawa yan. Income side and expense side. Ang sinasabi lang dito, kailan ka ba magre-recognize ng income? Kailan ka din magre-recognize ng expense? And always remember, when we're talking about accrual basis, you take out the cash. You take out the instance when you receive the cash. Hindi yun ang basihan. That is not the basis of recognizing income or expense. You must know when the income is earned and when the expense was incurred. Okay? Hindi kung kailan ka nakatanggap ng pera at kung kailan ka nagbayad. So, in the simple sense, you recognize the income pag na-render mo na yung service or na-deliver mo na yung goods. So, when do you recognize income? You recognize income when the goods are delivered or when the service is rendered. Not when the payment for the sale of goods or the payment for the sale of service was received. It is not when the cash was received, it is when it is earned. And again, when you say earned, it is when the goods are sold or delivered and when the services are rendered. Now, pag expenses naman, expenses are recognized when incurred or kailan mo nagamit yung expense o talagang nagastos. Hindi kung kailan mo nabayaran. Expenses are recognized when incurred regardless when the cash is paid. So, hindi ka mag-recognize na expense kung kailan mo binayaran, pero kung kailan mo talaga nagamit o nagastos. Okay? Now, let's go to the examples. For income, if services have already been rendered to a customer, income is recognized even if cash has not yet been received from the customer. Okay. So, when do you recognize income again? When the services has already been rendered or the goods has already been delivered. Have already been delivered. Example, assume that on January 2, AJ opened Flowers Galore and invested 20,000 into business. She received an order for flowers to be delivered to ABC Company on January 10. So, noong January 2, nagtayo siyang business. Biglang nakatanggap ng order. Noong January 2, sabi ni Mr. A, "Oy, AJ, bili nga ako ng flowers kasi di-deliver ko sa girlfriend ko sa birthday niya on January 10. January 10 ma-deliver ha?" "O sige," sabi. So, nag-deliver si AJ ng flowers on January 10. Pero nabayaran ni Mr. A or ABC Company noong January 15. Late yung bayad kasi nag-celebrate pa sila. Nalimutan niya yung bayad. Nakapagbayad lang siya 5 days after the delivery. So, the question is, when do you recognize the income? Is it on January 2 when the order was placed? Or is it on January 10 when the flowers were delivered, regardless when no cash has yet been received? Or on January 15 when the cash for the flowers were received? Answer is January 10. So, anong sabi dito? Under accrual basis, income would be recognized by Flowers Galore on January 10, the date when income was earned for the flowers which were delivered, and not on January 15 when cash was collected. Bakit? Regardless, di ba? Remember, accrual basis. Regardless when the cash is received, the income should be recognized when the services are rendered or when the goods are delivered. Here, in this example, When was the flowers delivered? It was delivered on January 10. So, kahit wala ka pang natatanggap na income, na cash, in payment for the flowers, or in payment for the service or the goods, then, it is time for you to recognize the income accrual basis. You recognize the income when it is earned, not when the payment for which is received. Okay? So, not when the order is placed, hindi January 2, kung kailan nag-order, hindi din January 15, kung kailan natanggap yung pera, pero January 10, kung kailan na-deliver. Walang problema kung kung upon delivery, January 10, natanggap din yung 5,000 pesos. Nagkakaroon lang kasi ng problema if the timing is different. If the timing of the delivery of the goods or the rendition of the service is different from the time when the cash for which is received. Doon lang tayo nagkakaproblema. That's the time that you have to accrue the income, regardless whether there has not yet been, there is no cash yet that is received. So again and again, you recognize the income when it is earned, such as when the goods are delivered or the services are rendered, not when the cash is received. Because regardless, when the cash is received or not, ang basis mo ng income ay yung dalawa. Goods are delivered, services are rendered. Next example, if cash is received from a customer before a service is rendered, or goods are delivered, the income is not yet earned because there is no service or delivery of goods yet. The cash received would be earned only upon rendering of service or delivery of goods. Ayun, paulit-ulit. Huwag niyo kakalimutan yan, lalabas na sa exam for sure. It is not when the cash is received that you will recognize the income. No. Cash is not the triggering point or the reckoning point of the recognition of income. Again, the income will only be earned upon the rendering of service or delivery of the goods. So, example, on January 2, AJ opened Flowers Galore and invested 20,000 business. Ano naman ang nangyari dito? On January 8, she received an order for flowers to be delivered 2 days later. As a sign of goodwill, nagbayad pala agad si ABC Company nung nag-order siya. So, nangyari, nag-order ng January 8, nagbayad din ng January 8. Pero sabi niya, pare, deliver mo na lang ng January 10. Kasi, January 10 ko pa kailangan ng bulaklak. Pero bayaran ko na ngayon kasi makakalimutan ko eh. Question, when will you recognize the income? Is it on January 8 when the payment for the flowers was received? Or on January 10 when the flowers were delivered? The answer is January 10. So, regardless, kahit natanggap mo nung una yung pera, hindi pa yan income. Anong meron ka? Cash. Do you recognize cash when you receive it? But that is not income. The income should only be recognized on when? January 10. Because that's the date when the goods or the flowers were delivered. Malinaw? Next. If services have been received by the business, so ulitin ko lang ha, kahit mauna yung pagbayad ng pera o mahuli yung pagbayad ng pera, it doesn't matter. You have to remember, you have to know when was the goods delivered. When was the service rendered? Yun ang income. Ibang usapan pag cash. Kailan ka magre-recognize ng cash? Di pag natanggap mo, kung kailan matanggap. But if the question is, when will you recognize the income? Yun. Doon ka na. Delivery of the goods and rendition of service. Okay? Okay. If services have already been received by the business from its suppliers, expenses are recognized even if these services have not yet been paid by the business. Kanina, income side tayo. Ngayon, expense naman. Kailan ka mag-recognize ng expense? Kanina, di ba? Sabi, expenses should be recognized when it is incurred, not when it is paid. Oh. Pag income, earned. Ang word is earned, pang income. Pag income. Pag expenses, incurred. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng incurred? Nagastos mo, nagamit mo. You recognize expenses when it is incurred, not when it is paid. So here, what is the lesson here? If services has already been received by the business, o ikaw yung nangailangan ng service, kung kailan ni-render sa iyo yung service na gusto mo, doon mo i-recognize yung expense. Yun sinasabi dito. If the services have already been received by the business from its suppliers, expenses are recognized even if these services have not yet been paid for by the business. So, kahit late pa na bayaran ni business, usually late yun kasi ibibill pa. Bakit? Kasi may hindi timing. Kasi kunwari ngayon, nagpagawa ng computer ko. Sabi ko, sir, pagawa kong computer. Okay. O, di, pinagawa ko. Nagawa na on the day itself. Pero sabi ko, sir, pero yung bayad pwede bukas na lang. Kasi, hintayin ko yung bill nyo. Pag natanggap ko yung bill nyo, tsaka ako magbabayad. O sabi ni computer service entity, o sige, bukas na lang. O natanggap ko na yung computer ko. Naayos na. Ngayon, ang question, kailan ko i-recognize yung expense? Ngayon na nagawa yung computer ko, o bukas ako magbabayad? The answer is, today. Kasi, ngayon ko na gastos yung expense. Ngayon ko na-incur yung expense. Ngayon ako nagpagawa Diba? So, if the services have already been received by the business from its suppliers, expenses are recorded or recognized even if the services have not yet been paid for the business. So, if the services is received today, then I have to recognize in my books the expenses today, not tomorrow when I will be paying for it. No, today. Ngayon ko natanggap yung service. O anong meron ka ngayon? The expense. Paano yung mabayaran mo bukas? Di liability mo yun. Liability yung bukas. Yung pagbayad mo bukas, liability mo yun. Pero yung expense, ngayon. Pero ang tanong, when will you recognize the decrease of cash? Di bukas ka magbabayad Pero, expenses will be recognized today because we have incurred the expense today. So, anong sabi? The company paid the bill on January 5. But, ano sabi? For example, January 2, 2012, Flowers Galore received a billing statement of 6,500 from Meralco. Ganun ang usual example. Yung mga electricity, yung mga water, diba? Pag nakatanggap ka ng Meralco bill for the past month yan, sinasabi sa'yo, this is your billing for the past month. Please pay at the end of the month. Ganun lagi. So, kung next month ka pa, next week ka pa magbabayad, next week ka pa mag-recognize ng expense? No. Na-incur mo na nagamit mo na electricity, diba? So, dapat, upon receipt of the bill for the month, i-accrue mo na yung expense. So, yun ang sinasabi. Diba? The company paid the bill on January 5. So, the question is, at the end of the year, December 31, 2011, will you recognize the expense or you will just recognize the expense on January 5 when you have paid the electricity? The answer is, you recognize the expense on December. Because, remember, the expenses are recognized when they are incurred, not when they are paid. The benefits of electric power have already been received by Flowers Galore on December 2011. The benefit of electric power has already been received. You recognize the expense during that time. That should be the time when the expenses are recorded, not on the succeeding month when you have paid for the bill. Next. If cash has already been paid by the business to its suppliers, An expense is not recorded until it is incurred. Paano naman kung advance payment? O kanina, di ba late payment yun? Nauna dumating yung bill, may expense ka na. Pero, next month ka pa magbabayad. Ngayon, anong ginawa mo? You've paid in advance. Sabi, the cash has already been paid. So, when will you recognize the expense? Not when you have paid the cash in advance. No. Again, remember, you only record the expense when it is incurred. So, on December 27, 2011, Flowers Galore had its transportation vehicle insured, paying 12,000 pesos as insurance premium covering 1 year. Again, covering 1 year. Again, covering 1 year. So, you paid in advance 12,000 pesos, but that is good for 1 year. Or, how many months in 1 year? 12 months. From January 1 to December 31, 2012. Kailan ka ulit nagbayad? December 27, 2011. If the accrual basis is used, will Flowers Galore record expense on 2011? Or will it record on December 2012? Kailan siya mag-recognize ng expense? On 2012 pa. Monthly siya mag-recognize ng expense. So, dun sa 12,000 niya, ano lang gagawin niya dun? Mag-recognize siya ng decrease sa cash. Mag-decrease siya ng cash. Pero, hindi pa niya i-recognize yung expense. Kasi, kailangan nagbayad. Katapusan no, December 27, 2011. And that is good for 1 year. Hindi mo pa expense yan. Advance payment mo yan. Kailan ka mag-recognize ng expense? Next year na. Depende sa policy ng company. Kung ang policy nyo, annual ang expense, o di, end of the year ka mag-expense ng 2012. Pero kung gusto nyo, monthly ang expense recording, edi mag-recognize ka agad ng January 1 ng 1,000 pesos. Kasi, yun yung 1/12 ng 12,000 pesos. But not on December. On January 2012. Because, on December 27, you have not yet incurred the expense. Is it clear? Next. So, cash basis of accounting is a method of accounting for... okay. Kanina, accrual basis. Recap natin ha. You recognize the income when the service is rendered or when the goods are delivered. You recognize the income when it is earned. Not when the cash is received. How about for expense? You recognize the expense when it is incurred, not when the cash is paid. Ano naman yung cash basis of accounting? Yan yung kabaliktaran ni accrual. Cash basis, ang ginagawa nila is when they recognize the income upon the receipt of cash, and they recognize the expense upon the payment of cash. Pero ang sinusunod natin ay accrual basis of accounting. Kailan lang ba applicable itong cash basis of accounting? Kapag konti lang ang transactions for the year. Pag konti lang transactions for the year na hindi nag-overlap, walang overlapping of transactions from one year to another, cash basis okay lang yon. Kasi ibig sabihin, within the year, lahat ng mga expense ay mababayaran, lahat din ng income ay matatanggap. Kaya at the end of the year, magsisynchronize pa rin lahat yan. Pero, ang pinakatamang basis ay accrual basis. Accrual dapat ang gagamitin. You recognize only when the cash is received, you recognize income when the income is earned, and you recognize the expense when the expense is incurred. Not when the cash is received or the cash is paid. So, ano ba ang difference itong dalawa na to? Let's see. To contrast the accrual basis versus the cash basis of accounting, we contrast these bases using the previous example. Okay. On January 12, 2012, Flowers Galore received an order for flowers to be delivered to ABC Company on January 10. So, nag-order ng January 2, delivery is January 10. Okay? And payment was January 15. So, question, when will the income be recognized? Kung accrual basis ka, kailan? Date of delivery, which is January 10. Pero kung cash basis ka, date of receipt of cash. When is that? January 15. Nakita niyo yung difference? Pag accrual basis, when cash is pag accrual basis, when the goods are delivered or the services are rendered. So, in this case, January 10. Pag cash basis of accounting, when the cash is received or the cash is paid. So, kailan yan? January 15. Next. On January 8, an order was received for flowers to be delivered to a busy company 2 days later. So, when was the order received? January 8. And when was it paid? January 8 also. As a sign of goodwill, ABC Company paid 5,000 on January 8. Delivery on the flowers was made 2 days later. So, accrual basis of accounting, kailan ang recognition of income? Did it change? No, it's still the same. Because the date of delivery is still the same, January 10. And again, accrual basis is when the goods are delivered or the services are rendered. But, cash basis of accounting, kailan to? Mauusog ba? Yes. Because pag cash basis of accounting, what will matter is the payment of cash or the receipt of cash. And here, there is an advance payment which was made on January 8. So, when will you recognize the income? On cash basis, January 15. January 8. Next. On January 2, 2012, Flowers Galore received a billing statement for 6,500 from Meralco for the electricity charges of December 2011. The company paid the bill on January 5, 2012. So, kailan daw ito na electricity charges? 2011 December. Kailan nagbayad? January 5, 2012. Question. Accrual basis of accounting. When is the expense recognized? When the expense is incurred, which is on December 2011. But, cash basis of accounting. Kailan ito i-recognize yung expense? When the cash is paid, which is January 5, 2012. Naintindihan na. Pag expense, kung kailan mo na-incur, kailan nagamit. In this case, it was December 2011. Pero kung sinasabi may cash basis of accounting, kailan ka nagbayad? Kailan ba? January 5, 2012. Lagi yung tatandaan, maraming ganyan sa quiz nyo, for sure. Kasi, ito yung medyo nakakalito, accrual basis of accounting. But don't ever forget. So, on December 27, 2011 naman, Flowers Galore had its transportation vehicle insured, paying 12,000 pesos as insurance premium covering 1 year. Covering 1 year daw. Pero, kailan nagbayad? Nagbayad in advance. On December 27, 2011. Accrual basis of accounting, magre-recognize ka ba? Kailan ka magre-recognize na income? Na expense? Pag-accrual basis. On the incurrence of the expense. Kailan mo na-incur? Di mag-recognize ka monthly kasi nagbayad ka in advance for 1 year So, accrual basis, you will recognize it on January to December 2012. Monthly ka magre-recognize. But if we're talking about cash basis of accounting, you will recognize the expense upon payment. So, recognize mo lahat on December 27, 2011. Unlike pag accrual basis, you will recognize it on a staggered basis, on a monthly basis, when each month of insurance premium is expensed or incurred. So, is it clear? Are we clear on cash basis and accrual basis of accounting? Accrual basis of accounting, you recognize the income when it is earned, not when the cash is received. And when you say it is earned, the income is earned when the goods are delivered and the services are rendered. Pag expense naman, you recognize the expense when the expenses are incurred, not when the expenses are paid. Okay? Pero pag cash basis of accounting, regardless of everything, you just recognize the income and expense when the cash is received or the cash is paid. Stable monetary unit, yan. Accounting principle din yan. Accounting principle of stable monetary unit provides that the business transactions in accounting must be expressed in terms of a uniform means of measurement. So, dapat naka-express yung transactions in a monetary unit. And for the Philippines, we must use Philippine peso. So, pagka gumagawa ka ng accounting record, hindi ka pwedeng mag-narrative. Hindi ka pwedeng paragraph form. You express the transactions in terms of money. You quantify it. Kaya sa susunod, pag gumawa tayong journal entries, naka-quantify yun ng peso value. Okay? Yan lang yun. Yan lang ibig sabihin nun. Stable monetary unit. So, the amount of cash received or the amount of cash paid becomes the usual basis for recording of business transaction. So, dapat merong basis. That is the stable unit, monetary unit or the Philippine peso. And this stable monetary unit assumes that for the year, the peso will not be materially affected by inflation. So, kung magkano siya ni-record nung una, ganun pa lang din hanggang huli. Because we assume that it is stable. That it is not materially affected by inflation. So, kung ni-record mo nung una, yung binili mo na computer worth 50,000 pesos, at the end of the year, ang nakalagay pa rin sa books, 50,000 pesos. Hindi mo siya i-adjust for inflation or deflation. Okay? Next, periodicity. What do you mean by periodicity? We prepare the financial statements with a reference to a period, to an accounting period. So sabi, to make effective economic decisions, timely financial information must be made available to decision makers timely. So, time-bounded ang ating financial statements. The periodicity concept assumes that the operating life of an enterprise may be conveniently divided into time periods of equal length. And the most common division of periods is 1 year, annually. And what do you call that? That is the accounting period. This allows accounting to provide information on a timely basis. So, dapat may basis. Kunwari, sinabi mo sa financial statements mo, the assets are 1 million pesos as of December 31, 2020. So, dapat may period para malaman mo, okay, ano ba tong asset na to? Kailan ba to? Hanggang kailan ba to? Kailan, o baka naman 10 years ago pa yan. Kailan may period? We must have a periodicity concept. And when we're talking about periods, dalawa yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na calendar year, meron din tayong tinatawag na fiscal year. When you say calendar year, this is a period that begins on January 1 and ends on December 31. Again, calendar year is a period of 1 year, of course, but begins on January 1 and ends on December 31. However, fiscal year is a period consisting of 1 year which begins at any time except January 1 and ends on a date after covering a period of 1 year. So, fiscal year, 1 year talaga yan. Except that it does not start on January 1. Okay? Pag January nag-start, automatic calendar year yan. Pero pag hindi yan nag-start ng January 1, fiscal year yan. O, example, from April 1 to March 31. O, fiscal year yan. So, for example, again, October 1, 2019 to September 30, 2020. 1 year yon. That is fiscal year. So, it is a period of 1 year which does not begin in January 1 and of course, it follows that it will not end on December 31. So, ano ba yung concept again ng periodicity concept or time period concept? It just says that the financial statements are prepared with a reference to a specific period. It is presented in a timely manner. Okay? It gives reference to a period. So, for example, income statement, this is the income for a period of 1 year, or this is the income for a period of 3 months. Ganon. So, time-bounded. There is a reference to a time or period in order to provide an information on a timely basis and to make it possible for the users of financial statements to assess the condition and performance of the business across time period. Next, going concern assumption. Ano ba itong going concern assumption na yan? Or continuity assumption. So, it says that the financial statements are normally prepared on the assumption that an enterprise is an ongoing concern and will continue in operation for the foreseeable future. It is assumed that the enterprise has neither the intention or need to liquidate or curtail materially the scale of its operations. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? Sinasabi lang dyan na if it is not clearly stated or if it is not clearly declared that an entity will undergo liquidation or will be having a closure of business, it is presumed that such entity will continue for a foreseeable future. Ibig sabihin, hanggat hindi dinedeclare, hindi sinasabi na ang business ay magko-close na dahil bankrupt na o magli-liquidate na dahil magko-close ng business operations, the financial statements that is prepared is with the assumption na ang business na ito ay magko-continue pa ng business operations for the foreseeable future. So hanggat nakikita natin or hanggat dumadaan ang panahon, patuloy pa rin ang business na yan, going concern. Hanggat hindi sinasabi na magko-close na sila, mababankrupt na, mag-liquidate na, o ayaw na nila mag-operate, you have to presume that it is on a going concern. Okay? Okay. Example, DF Corporation is engaged in the manufacture and sale of ceramics. DF owns several machines which are used in the manufacture of its products. In preparing financial statements under the going concern basis, DEF would present the machines as part of its assets. It is assumed that these machines will continue to provide economic benefits to DEF in the future. If DEF will cease operations and liquidate, the machines are worthless. Hence, the machines would not be treated as assets once the business ceases operations. So, ano sabi? As long as it is not provided clearly that the company will cease operations, all the assets will be used and will continue to provide economic benefits. Yun lang ang gusto niyang sabihin. Okay? It is on a going concern. Now, if management becomes aware of situations or instances giving rise to uncertainties which may cast doubt on an enterprise's ability to continue as a going concern, that fact should be indicated in the financial statements. That the enterprise will no longer be considered a going concern. And that the financial statements should be prepared on a liquidating concern basis. Basta lagi ganun. Hanggat hindi sinasabi na magli-liquidate na si corporation, pag sinabi mo kasing liquidate, then yung process after dissolution. Pag sinabi mo dissolution, after na dissolve, after nang tumigil na yung operations ni company. After nilang nag-decide na i-close na nila. After nun, ili-liquidate na. So, hanggat hindi sinasabi na nag-close na, magsa-stop ng business operations, yung financial statements are prepared with the presumption of going concern. That is good for the future. That is good for future economic decisions. Okay? But if it is stated that there are already situations or certain uncertainties that would give rise to the closure of the business, then the financial statements that is prepared is on liquidating concern basis. Naintindihan? Ganun lang yun. From the word itself, going concern, or another name, continuity assumption, o going concern, di patuloy ang operations for foreseeable future, patuloy ang operations, continuity assumption, it will continue, it is assumed that it will continue its operations. Thus, the financial statements are prepared assuming that the entity will continue operating. Next, accounting framework. O, di tapos na tayo sa mga business accounting principles. Those were the principles. Again, what are those? The business entity principle, the dual effect principle, or the double entry accounting system, the business entity principle, the dual effect, then the matching principle, the accrual basis, and the stable monetary unit, and then lastly is the going concern assumption. Ngayon, meron naman tayong accounting framework. So, ano naman tong accounting framework na ito? Ito yung guidelines in the preparation and presentation of financial statement. It sets out the concepts that underline the preparation and presentation of financial statements for external users. Ito yung framework. Pag sinabi mong framework kasi, yan yung body. Parang sa table. Ano yung itsura ng table? Tingnan nyo yung table nyo dyan sa bahay nyo. Yan. Yung framework yan, yung mga paa, yung patungan, yung mga kahoy dyan para ma-support, yan yung framework in order to make it as a whole, the table as a whole. So, ito din yon sa accounting. It is the very standards, it is the very concepts. Bago mo magawa yung financial statements, ito yung dapat mong sundan. O, parang sa table, bago maging buong table yun, may mga paayan, meron niyang patungan, may mga kahoy dyan sa gilid, ganun. Framework. It sets out the concept that underline the preparation and presentation of the financial statement. So, ano mga purposes of framework? You have to familiarize to this one. For sure, ang gagawin ng examiner nyo, sasabihin na, the purposes of the framework are the following, except, so dapat alam niyo yan. Alam niyo dapat yan. So, lagi yan, assist. Puro yan, assist. Puro assist. So, anong sabi? Assist in the FRSC. Again, what is the FRSC? Financial Reporting Standards Council. Sino yung na-assist niya? Yung gagawa ng standards. Na-assist niya si FRSC in developing accounting standards that represent gap in the Philippines. Next, assist the FRSC in its review and adoption of existing international financial reporting standards. So, ina-assist niya si FRSC para gumawa ng sariling standards natin sa Philippines. Ina-assist din niya si FRSC para gayahin o i-review or i-adapt yung international naman para magamit natin din for the Philippines. O, ano next? Assist or prepares financial statements in applying financial reporting standards in dealing with topics that have yet to form the subject of an FRSC statement. So, yung mga hindi pa na-encounter before, wala pang mga standards before, ito din, it assists the FRSC in dealing with topics that have yet to form subject. Okay? Ano pa? It assists the auditors in forming an opinion. It assists, ano ba yun? It assists, ano ba? Gulo naman ito. It assists, yung letter C kasi, binabasa ko ulit, no? It assists in the preparation pala ito of financial statements. Ang gusto niya sabihin, kung ikaw gusto mo mag-prepare ng financial statements, in applying the financial reporting standards, you have to be assisted by the framework. Yan lang pala ang gusto niya sabihin. Okay? Next, letter D, assist auditors in forming an opinion as to whether financial statements will conform to Philippine GAAP. Yung mga auditors kasi niyan, sine-check nila kung tama ba yung mga ginagawa ng iba. Audit ba? Pag sinabi mo audit, sine-check kung tama, kung may pagkakamali. So, the auditors are also guided by the framework. Next, assist Users of financial statements. So, hindi lang yung framework, hindi lang para sa mga standard setting body, which is FRSC, the Financial Reporting Standards Council. Hindi lang din siya para sa mga auditors na nag-check ng financial statements. Para din siya sa users. Users of financial statements. Sino ba yung mga users na yan? Yung may-ari. Sino bang gagamit ng financial statements? Sino bang makikinabang yan? Yung may-ari ng business, yung investors, yung mga customers, no? So, they assist the users of financial statements in interpreting the information contained in financial statements, whether it is in conformity with the Philippine GAAP. And lastly, to provide those who are interested in the work of the financial reporting standards with information about its approach to the formulation of financial reporting standards. Okay. So, mapapansin nyo, it guides, it assists, it provides concepts. Yan ang purpose. Kasi framework, yun yung sinusundan. Yun ang guidelines. Ang tanong nyo siguro, ano ba yung financial statements? Financial statements, yan, paulit-ulit na sinasabi. Financial statements is the summary of all the financial transactions. Doon mo makikita yung assets, total liabilities, total equity, nakasummarize doon. Doon makikita mo kung ilan talaga ang value ng cash mo, ilan ang value ng property, plant and equipment, ilan ang value ng liabilities mo, ng loans mo. Doon din sa financial statements, particularly the income statement, makikita mo kung ilan yung income mo, ilan yung expense mo. Yan. So, yun yung financial statements. Ngayon, bago ka makagawa ng financial statements, bago makagawa ng summary, kailangan may sinusundan kang standards. And yung standards na yan, galing yan sa framework. Yung standard, bago ka makagawa ng standards, kailangan may sinusundan kang principle, framework. Yung kasama na doon yung mga binanggit natin kanina na accounting principles. Okay, so question, is the framework part of accounting standards? The framework is not a financial reporting standard. Hence, does not define the standards of any particular measurement or disclosure issue. Hindi pa yun ang standards. In case of conflict, the requirements of PFRS shall prevail over those of the framework. So, bakit kasi? Ang framework is only a guideline. Framework is only a concept. It is your guide. But, at the end of the day, what should be followed is the standards. So, standards pa rin ang mananaig. Framework is only your guide. Parang sa table ba? Diba sa table, may mga paa, yun yung framework. Pero, ano pa rin ang importante sa'yo? Yung table itself, the whole, the finished product. And in accounting standards, what do we have? What we follow really is the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. These frameworks serve only as a guideline. Okay, so what is the scope of the framework? The scope of the framework deals with the following matters: the objective of financial statements, the underlying assumptions in the preparation of financial statements, qualitative characteristics. Kailangan memorize ito Ano yung objective? Financial statements, underlying assumptions, yung mga assumptions na sinabi natin kanina, and then qualitative characteristics. Ano ba yung characteristics ng financial statements? Paano ba natin masasabi na nakakatulong siya? How do we determine whether it is useful or not? Ano yung characteristics niya? And then, we have to know the definition, recognition, and measurement of different elements of financial statements. Kung ano ba yung mga income, expense, assets, liabilities, equity, yan. Anong definition nila? Para sila nire-recognize, para din sila mini-measure. And then lastly, the concepts of capital and capital maintenance. Ano ibig sabihin ng capital? Yan. So, you have to memorize these 5 because your examiner in your quiz will surely include this. Sasabihin niya, the framework deals with the following matters except. Ayun. So, dapat alam niyo yan. Okay? All of the above matters are discussed within this chapter. So, we will discuss that in this chapter. Except concepts of capital and capital maintenance, which is covered by the intermediate accounting concepts. Ano ba yung concept of capital at capital maintenance? More on, yan na kasi medyo malalim na yan na discussion ng capital. Yung mga, yung sa stocks, yun. What covers your capital? What are the different activities or transactions that could affect the capital? Yung issuance of shares, the division of retained earnings, declaration of dividends, yan, medyo malalim na yan. Okay? For this chapter, since basic pa lang tayo, we'll only discuss all of the above except the capital and capital maintenance. Okay. Now, let's go to financial statements. Okay, so when you say financial statements, these are the means by which the information accumulated in and processed by financial accounting is communicated to users on a periodic basis. Financial statements are the end product of the financial accounting process. Ayun, end product. O, remember ha? What is the end product of the financial accounting process? It is the financial statements. So, ano ba yung financial statements yan? Sabi ko nga sa inyo, yan yung summary. Yan yung end product. Diba, nagsimula ka sa identifying transactions. Next, you record the transactions. After recording the transactions, you classify them into different accounts. And then, you summarize them. Pag sinamarize mo na, edi gagawa ka ng financial statements. Ulit, identify. Bumili ka ng computer equipment. Bumili ka. You identify the transaction as financial in nature. Correct. Now you have to record. And upon recording, you have to determine what is the classification of that. Ano ba yung computer equipment na yan? Asset ba yan? Liability? Income ba yan o expense? O very obvious, asset yan kasi property mo. So, you classify and you record it as an asset. O after recording as an asset, si computer equipment, you have to summarize. So, when you say you summarize, mag-appear na siya ngayon sa financial statements mo under assets account. O yun. So, end product of financial accounting process. Basically, it will just show all the outstanding balance of your assets, the liabilities, the capital, and how much is the income for the period, how much is the expense for the period, and the net income. Cash flows pa. Ilan yung pumasok at lumabas na cash for the period. So, the complete set of financial statements include the following. You have to memorize this. What are the 5 financial statements? What is the complete set? Or what comprises a complete set of financial statements? Number 1, statement of financial position or balance sheet. So, yung balance sheet mo, ang formal na tawag dyan ay statement of financial position. Remember, bakit sinabing statement of financial position? Ano ba ang lagay ng company? Ano ba ang position niya? Asset position ba siya? Marami pa ba siyang properties? Or liability position ba siya? O marami na ba siyang utang? O yun lang gusto kong sabihin. Gusto nilang sabihin kung asan ka na? Marami ka pa bang asset? O palubog ka na kasi marami kang utang? Kaya yan ang tinatawag na statement of financial position or balance sheet. Next, statement of comprehensive income. Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Yan yung income statement mo. Statement of comprehensive income or income statement. Okay? Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Doon pinapakita kung magkano yung net income mo, yung profit mo, or loss mo, kung loss ka man, at the end of the period. Pag statement of changes in equity naman, yan yung changes ng capital mo. Diyan mo makikita yung beginning capital, plus yung additional investments, less yung withdrawals mo, and yung ending capital. Sinasabi lang niya, ano yung changes sa capital mo. Statement of changes in equity. Ang equity kasi, yung equity na yan yung residual interest mo sa company mo. And when you say residual interest sa company, that is your capital. Kaya sinabing statement of changes in equity. Next, statement of cash flows. Statement of cash flows is the financial statement that shows the movement of your cash for a specific period. So, makikita mo dun yung inflow ng cash, kung may mga natanggap kang pera, saan nanggaling yung pera. Next, outflow of cash, saan napunta yung pera. So, statement of cash flows and statement of cash flows shows the movement of cash, the inflow and outflow of cash during the period. And lastly, notes to the financial statements. Ano ba yung notes to financial statements? Yun yung explanation. Notes ba? Di ba yung notes mo? Yun yung mga nilalagay mo ano-anong mga comments mo. Yan. So, may mga pa-comment din sa financial statements or explanation. Yung mga statements kasi na apat na yan, values lang makikita mo dyan. Values at saka yung heading or yung title. Assets. So, nakalagay dun sa financial statement. Asset. Cash. 50 million. Then, computer equipment. 10,000. Ganun lang. Amount lang at saka description. Pero yung explanation, dun sa cash, saan bang mga cash yan? Cash in hand ba yan? Cash in bank ba yan? Cash equivalents ba yan? Hindi yun makikita agad-agad doon. Saan mo makikita yan? Sa notes. Notes to financial statements. Para siyang additional schedule. What comprises the amounts shown in the financial statement. So that is your notes to financial statements. Next, who are the users of your financial statements? You have different users. Maraming users yan. So you have investors, employees, lenders, suppliers, customers, government, and their agencies, and the public. Pag sinabi mo kasi, users of financial statements, sino ba ang makikinabang sa financial statements mo? Sino ba ang dapat na gumamit? Or sino yung may mga pakialam o maapektuhan ng financial information mo? O, number 1, investors. These investors are providers of risk capital. Ano naman pakinabang din sa financial statements? Syempre, di ba, investors sila. They would want to know whether their investment is worth having or not. Is it worth holding or is it worth selling already? So these investors and their advisors are concerned with the risk inherent in and return provided by their investments. They need information to help them determine whether they should buy, hold, or sell their investments. In case of corporation, shareholders are also interested in information which enables them to assess the ability of the enterprise to pay dividends. So ito, yung investors kasi, gusto nila, kumikita sila sa investment, kaya sila nag-invest eh. They will not invest if that investment will not give them income, will not earn. So in order for them to determine whether the investment will earn, they have to know the information, the financial information of the company for which they have an investment. So, kailangan nila makita kung may assets pa ba to? Baka marami ng utang ito? Baka lahat ng assets pambayad na lang sa utang? May income pa ba to? O baka palugi? Kasi, ba't importante sa kanila yan? Kasi, kung palugi naman, ibibenta nila yung investment. Pero kung maganda ang financial position at saka financial performance ng company, and then, they would hold on to their investment. Or more so, they would buy another shares or investment. They would invest more. So, yan yung kahalagahan. And also, of course, they would like to know whether they will be paid dividends. Ano ibig sabihin ng dividends? Dividends are the income being paid to shareholders or stockholders. This is the profit, the distribution of profit. So they are interested to know the financial position so that they could expect whether they would be receiving dividends or not. Sasabihin nila, bakit parang wala akong natatanggap na dividends ha? Tignan ko nga yung financial statements. Kaya pala wala akong natatanggap kasi nalugi sila last year. Ito, nakita ko sa financial statement, sa may income statement, ganon. Di kaya magugulat na lang siya, ako, may natanggap akong pera, galing sa investment ko to. Tingnan ko nga yung financial statements ng investment ng company. Tingnan ko nga yung financial statement ng company na to. Kaya pala ang laki ng investment ng dividends ko. Kasi, income pala sila last year. Laki ng income nila, tama lang to receive ko. Ganon. So, naintindihan nyo ba? User of financial statements. One of which is investors. It is important for them, the financial statements, because they will use it to have an informed judgment whether to buy, hold, or sell their investments. Next, employees. How about employees? Bakit naman interesado ako? Employee lang ako. Bang pakialam ko sa financial statement? Of course, you should be, that the employees are interested because of their stability, the security of their tenure, their remuneration, or their benefits. Diba? Employee ka, paano mo malalaman kung palugi ka na? Baka bukas wala ka ng trabaho, baka bukas magsarado na yung kumpanya mo. Tignan mo yung financial statements, tignan mo kung asset position ba sila or liability position or nag-i-income ba sila o palugi na sila. O, diba? So, importante din. The employees are also users of financial statements. They are interested whether they still have the security of tenure. Will they stay in the company for so long because the company will not yet close? Or is the income or is the salary reasonable? Meron ba talaga, may kakayahan ba si company na mag-provide ng retirement benefit or additional benefits? Baka naman sinusolo na lang ni company yung income niya, hindi man lang siya nag-i-increase. Sabi si company na, pasensya na kayo wala kayong increase ng sweldo ngayon kasi palugi kami. O di, ikaw na employee, check mo yung financial statements kung totoo. Baka naman kasi mamaya, ay ganun ba? Loss pala kayo. Sige, hindi na muna mag-expect na increase. Sige, kahit babaan nyo na lang sweldo ko. Kasi palugi pala kayo. Iyon pala, hindi mo chinek yung financial statements. Sa financial statements pala, billion pala ang income. Diba? So, you should know. The employees should know. How about the lenders? Lenders are interested in information that enables them to determine whether their loans and the interest attaching to them will be paid when due. So, ano naman pakinabang ng lenders? Yung lenders na yan, yung mga creditors, yung mga nagpapautang. Ano naman pakinabang nila? Of course, they are interested because they want to know whether whether the company or the debtor has the ability to pay within the time when the debt will be due. So, interested siya kasi mababayaran ba kaya yung utang sa akin ng company na to o hindi? Lagi siya nagsasabi, hingi ng extension for payment of debt. Tingnan ko baka naman may income. Baka man sinasabi lang niya wala siyang income pero meron pala. Ayun. So, lenders are interested. And also, not only for the existing debts or existing contracts, it is also a good information or good source of information whether these lenders will approve a contract of loan or not. Lender, sabi ni company A, lender, pautang naman ako kasi kailangan namin mag-expand ng company namin, company A. Si lender ngayon, iisip siya, uutangin ko kaya to o hindi? May kakayahan kaya itong magbayad ng utang o hindi? O ano magiging basis niya? Ano ang tutulong sa kanya para makapag-decide, para mag-perform ng economic decision? Then, the lender must take a look into the financial statement. Tingnan niya dapat sa financial statements whether this company has sufficient assets to repay the obligation, the prospective obligation. Baka naman, utang nga ng utang, marami na din palang pinagkautangan. Di wag mo nang pautangin. Diba? So, paano mo naman makikita kung marami utang? Punta ka sa financial statements. How about suppliers and trade creditors? Suppliers. Ano bang pakinabang suppliers dyan? Ba't kailangan pa niyang makita yung financial statements ni customer niya? Bakit? Siyempre, di ba? Ikaw ang nagsusupply sa kanila. Pag nagsupply ka ng goods or services, hindi naman lagi-lagi nagbabayad agad yung mga yan. Usually, yung mga customer na yan, pautang din yan. Nagbabayad yan a month after. If the goods delivered are already sold, usually, para hindi sila mahirapan, ganon. So, ikaw na supplier, if you want to have a business relationship with another customer, you must make sure that this customer has the ability to pay, has a good sales activity. O, para ma-expect mo, magkaroon ka ng reasonable expectation if these customers will be able to pay you in a short period of time or not. Okay? So, ganon. The same with other creditors. So, pag customer naman, ikaw naman, diba kanina si supplier, interesado sa financial statement ni customer. Tingnan niya, may kakayahan kaya magbayad to. Ang lakas-lakas mag-order sa akin, pero baka mamaya hindi mo kaya magbayad. Okay, supplier yan. Ikaw naman customer. Customer ka ni company A. Ano namang pakinabang mo dito sa financial statement ni company A? Bumibili ka lang naman. Bakit kailangan mo pang pakialaman? Of course, because you're a customer. If you're interested in the continuous supply of the goods that you are consuming, then you have to take a look at their financial information. If you want to have a long-term involvement with them, customer. Ako, customer ako, bumibili ako kay company A. Ako, may mga customers din ako. Gusto ko, yung customers ko, magre-rely sila sa akin lagi na meron akong goods. May available akong stocks. Hindi ako magkakaroon ng available na stocks kung yung supplier ko na si company A ay palugi na pala. So, I am interested in the financial information of my supplier. Kaya ako as a customer is interested in their financial information, whether they would be continuing their business operations in a foreseeable future. Kasi kung pasarado na pala sila o mapalugi na pala sila, di might as well maghanap na rin ako ng bagong supplier ko so that my business will not be affected. Okay? Do you understand? Next, government and their agencies. These users are interested in the allocation of resources and therefore the activities of the enterprise. They also require information in order to regulate the activities of enterprises, determine the taxation policies, and as a basis for national income and similar statistics. So, ano ba to? Ang maganda example dito is yung BIR, government and their agencies. The BIR is interested in the financial information, financial statements of the company. Kaya, ang corporation, pag more than 3 million ang gross receipts or gross sales, required ang isang company na pag nag-file ng tax return, kailangan may kasamang financial statements. Bakit? So that the BIR would be able to determine that the truthfulness of the amount appearing in the tax return, kung ano yung nilagay ni company na sales doon sa tax return niya, ay tama at pareho doon sa financial statements niya. Baka naman sa totoo, sa financial statements, 5 million pala ang kinita. Pero doon sa BIR, tax return niya, 1 million lang ang dineclare niya. O, di mali. Nag-tax evade na, meron na tuloy tax evasion si company A. So, interested si government in the financial information. So that they could verify whether what is declared in the tax return or all other documents, government documents or public documents are true or not. Okay? O, ano pang example sa government? Si SEC, sa Securities and Exchange Commission. Based on their rules, these corporations are required to submit their financial statements. Bakit? Kasi si SEC din, lalo sa mga listed companies, yung mga nagbebenta ng shares sa public, interested si SEC because the SEC would want to protect the public. So, if these corporations are already at a loss position, they are already incurring many losses recurringly, then the public must be apprised properly so that their investments, so that they could decide, they could have a reasonable decision whether to hold on to their investment or not. And then, same, Another one is that for the SEC to properly regulate these corporations. Doon niya din kasi makikita kung compliant ba itong si corporation sa mga rules, minimum rules ni SEC. Makikita niya sa financial statements. Kagaya ng declaration of dividends, yung declaration sa financial statements, mga ganon. Okay? Next, public. General public. Of course, marami yan. It is a variety of ways. For example, enterprises may make a substantial contribution to the local economy in many ways, including the number of people they employ, patronage of local suppliers. So the public would be interested in many ways. We cannot really identify. There are so many ways, okay? So financial statements may assist the public by providing financial information about the trends, developments, and the prosperity of the enterprise and the range of its activities. So maganda din yan pag public yung trend. Para ikaw, as a person, pagka nakikita mo na nagbo-boom pala yung ganitong business, o ikaw as a person, edi may encourage ka din to have the same business as that one na provide yung financial information niya to the public. Or, kung kunwari, si company A, ang business niya ay ano ba? Hirap mag-isip Hotel. Sabihin natin hotel. Sa mga hotels ngayon, kung makikita mo yung financial statements nila, palugi na pala. Ikaw as a person, kung balak mo pa sana magtayo ng hotel, you would be interested. Sabihin mo na you will have an informed decision. Sasabihin mo sa sarili mo na, parang lahat na ng mga hotels, they are incurring losses Pare-pareho sila, nakita ko yung financial statements nila, they're already incurring losses. I think, my plan to build a hotel and have this business is not gonna work. So, I would not pursue this business anymore. Okay, so, yun. So, yun sa mga examples ng usefulness ng financial information to the public. Okay. So, the main users of financial statements. While several users of financial information have been mentioned, the financial statements are primarily for the use of investors and creditors. So, the main users are investors, the creditors, and the management. Hindi pala nabanggit kanina yung management. Siyempre si management din, interested din sa financial information because that would guide them on how to improve their management skills. Whether to focus on this area of their business, or whether to let go this area of their business, or to add another business line, gano'n. So now let's go to the financial statements proper. Okay, financial statements aim to provide information about the financial position, financial performance, and cash flows of an entity that is useful to a wide range of users in making economic decision. So we have financial position, kagaya ng sinabihan kayo na statement of financial position. Then we also have statement of performance or profitability, and then statement of changes in financial position and other supplementary information. Ano ba itong statement of financial position? Ito yung balance sheet. This refers to the condition of a business in monetary terms at a given date or point of time. This provides ano sabi dito? Information about the financial position is primarily provided in a statement of financial position or the balance sheet. The financial position of an enterprise is affected by the economic resources it controls. So, ano ba yung mga economic resources na nakokontrol niya? Its financial structure, its liquidity and solvency, and its capacity to adapt to changes in the environment in which it operates. So, ano bang gustong ipakita ni financial position? Statement of financial position. It is the liquidity or solvency or the capacity to adapt. Okay? So, remember that Financial position shows or provides the company's liquidity, solvency, capacity to adapt, and also it shows how much of the economic resources it controls. O ano ba ibig sabihin ng liquidity? Pag liquidity kasi, gaano ba karami ang cash ng company na available in the near future? Sabi dito, liquidity is the availability of cash in the near future to cover currently measuring liabilities or obligations. It shows how much is the cash of the company which will be used to cover or to pay the currently maturing liabilities. Remember the word currently maturing liabilities. So, ilan ba ang pera ni company ngayon na baka at any time mag-due yung mga liabilities, kaya ba niyang bayaran? Liquid ba siya? Pag sinabi mong liquid kasi, di ba yung liquid like water, ano pa, yung hindi solid, liquid. Pag liquid kasi flowing. So, parang sa atin din, sa corporation din, or sa company, gaano ba ka-available yung cash mo? Gaano ba kadali magbayad? Yung bang bilis ng bayad para sa mga magmamature na liabilities, short-term liabilities. Yan kasi ang liquidity, short-term. How will they be able to use the cash or is the cash available to pay for the nearly maturing liabilities? But when you say solvency, it is the availability of cash over the long term. So, cash din ang pinag-usapan. Kaya bang bayaran ng company? Actually, hindi lang cash. Pag solvency, lahat na ng properties. Yung assets ba ni company enough to pay the liabilities? All the liabilities. So, ganun ang solvency. Long term ang tinitingnan niya. Kaya bang bayaran ng cash? Lahat ng liabilities. Solvent ba siya? Pero pag sinabi mo liquidity, short term lang yan. Kaya bang bayaran ng cash ngayon? Ano bang cash natin ngayon? Lahat ng mga magfo-fall due na liabilities. Pero pag solvency, pinag-uusapan buong assets mo. Hindi ka, mali kasi nakalagay dito eh. Solvency is the availability of your assets. Dapat dito, solvency is the availability of assets over a long term to meet the obligations when they fall due. So, long term siya. Assets versus liability. Pero pag liquidity, availability of cash versus liabilities. O naman ito yung capacity to adaptation. It is the ability of the enterprise to use its available cash for unexpected requirements and investment opportunities. Paano ba sila makapag-expand? Will they be able to cope up with the different investment opportunities? So, meron ka bang sufficient cash or sufficient assets for you to be able to comply or to expand? Yan, capacity for adaptation. So again pag financial position, gaano ba karami ang assets mo or liabilities mo? How many resources do you have? Are you solvent or are you liquid? Are you capable to adapt into the different changes in the environment? Yan ang financial position. Anong position mo? Asset position ka ba? O liability position ka? Pero pag sinabi mo performance or profitability, performance or profitability refers to whether a company is able to generate profit. Ayan. Ang pinag-uusapan na dito, pag performance or profitability, yung profit, may net income ka ba o wala? Kaya nasa financial position, ang pinag-uusapan lang natin, may assets ka ba? May assets ka ba bang natitira? Pero pag financial performance or profitability, may income ka ba? O tandaan niya na, tandaan yan kasi lalabas yan sa exam for sure. Anong pagkakaiba ng financial position sa financial performance? Pag financial position, pag-uusapan assets, liabilities, equity. Solvent ka ba? Liquid ka ba? Kaya mo bang mag-expand? Pero pag sinasabing financial performance, yung performance mo lang for a period. Nagkaroon ka ba ng income o wala? Nagkaroon ka ba ng expense? Nalugi ka ba sa period na ito o hindi? Yan. Okay? So, ito, for a certain period lang. Ang sabi dito, performance or profitability refers to whether a company is able to generate profit or incur loss during a particular accounting period. Information about performance is primarily provided in a statement of comprehensive income. So, statement of comprehensive income is also called as income statement. So, dalawang parts ni statement of comprehensive income. We have here the income statement and the comprehensive income, other comprehensive income portion. So, dito, dahil basic accounting lang tayo, ang di-discuss lang natin is yung first part, the profit or loss portion or income statement. Pag higher accounting na kayo, if you're going to move up from first year to the next year, we will discuss now the other comprehensive income. Ano ba yun nandyan sa other comprehensive income? Malalim na yan. Yan na yung mga revaluation, yung mga foreign exchange, unrealized foreign exchange, yan. Dyan yan. Pero yung mga normal lang na revenue, sales, expenses, general expenses, dito yan sa income statement, profit or loss. So, this textbook covers the first part, yung kagaya na sinasabi natin. Other comprehensive income is discussed in intermediate accounting courses. So, the income statement is a useful tool for evaluating the management stewardship of the resources of the enterprise. Okay? Kaya sinabing statement of performance or financial performance kasi tinitingnan kung paano nag-perform yung company for the year. Nag-earn ba siya ng income? Nagkaroon ba siya ng net income? O baka mahina ang performance such that there is a loss. So, yun yung tinitingnan. Okay? Now, ano naman itong changes in financial position? Dalawa yan. Pag sinabi mong changes in financial position, this covers both the statement of cash flows and statement of changes in owner's equity. So, sabi dito, information concerning changes in the financial position of an enterprise is useful in order to assess its investing, financing, and operating activities during the period. So, ano ba to? Kasi, sa statement of cash flows, it shows the movement of cash. Is there an inflow or outflow of cash? At saan naman napunta yung cash na ito or saan nanggaling? Yun yung sinasabi na meron tayong different activities with investing, financing, and operating activities. Yung operating activities, of course, the cash is from the normal business operations, kagaya ng pagbebenta ng goods, pag-perform ng services, pag-incur ng expense, yan. So, yan yung mga outflow or inflow of cash from operating activities. Kung nagbayad si customer, hindi may inflow of cash. Pero pag sinabi mo ng financing activities, pag financing kasi, yung bang saan galing ang finances mo. Example, loans. O, cash from loans. Financing activities yun. Pag investing naman, o ikaw mismo sa sarili mo, as a company, nag-invest ka ba? Bumili ka ba ng mga investment instruments such as shares or debentures? Shares or other investment securities. Yan. So, cash flows. Pag sinabi mo namang statement of changes in equity, it shows the balance of the owner's investment. Yun yung capital. Capital ni business owner at the beginning of the period plus the additional investments of the owner less the drawings of the owner and ending balance is the profit or loss for the period. So, and the balance of the owner's investment at the end of the accounting period. Ayan. So, statement of changes in owner's equity is capital beginning plus, ilista nyo, isulat nyo, capital beginning plus additional investments plus profit or loss, profit of course, less withdrawals or drawings, less loss. Ulit, capital beginning plus additional investments plus income, pero pag loss naman, the less loss, then less withdrawals or drawings is equal to capital end. Yan ang statement of of changes in equity. Again, pag statement of cash flows naman, it summarizes the cash activity, inflow and outflow of the cash for a specific period. And it is classified according to different activities. You have the operating activities from your business operations, pagbebenta ng mga goods, pag-performance services. And the investing activities naman, yung investment by the word itself. Nag-invest ka ba? Or binenta mo investment mo? Yung mga capital equipment mo, yan. Yung land mo, bumili ka bang land or building, yan, investing. And then, kung financing naman, nangutang ka ba? O binayaran mo ba yung utang mo? Yun, so financing yan. So, it provides an explanation in financial terms how the cash of the enterprise increased or decreased compared to the previous accounting period. So, other supplementary information. Additional information that is relevant to the needs of the financial statement users about the items in the statement of financial position and the statement of comprehensive income are presented on the face of the financial statements or in the notes of the financial statements. So, ano ba yung nakalagay sa notes? Di ba naalala nyo yung notes kanina? Di ba 5 ang financial statements? Number 1, statement of financial position or balance sheet. Number 2, statement of comprehensive income or income statement. Number 3, statement of cash flows. Number 4, statement of changes in owner's equity or the capital. And then lastly, notes to financial statements. So, notes to financial statements, it provides the disclosures about the risk or uncertainties affecting the enterprise. It also provides supplementary information, the different schedules for the amounts shown in the financial statements, the information about geographical and industry segments, and then the effect of the enterprise of changing prices, kung ano-ano pang notes and other supplementary information. Doon mo makikita yan sa notes to financial statement. So again, don't forget, that will for sure malalabas yan sa exam nyo. What are the 5 complete set of financial statements o balance sheet or statement of financial position? The next, income statement or statement of comprehensive income. Next, statement of changes in equity. Next, statement of cash flows. Then lastly, notes to financial statements. So, ano lang ba yung may mga iba't ibang pangalan pa dyan? May pangalan dyan yung statement of comprehensive income. Other term for that is income statement or profit or loss statement. Okay. So, next will be the general purpose financial statements. So, we will discuss one by one. But first, we have to emphasize na yung financial statements na yan, yung mga binanggit natin kanina, general purpose. Ano ba ibig sabihin general purpose? It will meet only the general needs of the users. It is not special purpose. Oh, remember special purpose are covered by management accounting. Management advisory yon. Pero pag financial accounting, general purpose lang. General purpose financial statements. Kung ano yung swak sa lahat ng users. Okay? So, we do not provide special purpose financial statements unless it is requested. But generally, what we as accountants provide is a general purpose financial statements. So, kung ano ba yung mga pangangailangan ng lahat ng users. Yan, masasatisfy ng general purpose financial statements. And then, frequency. Let's go to the frequency. Frequency of preparation of financial statements. How frequent should we prepare or provide the financial statements? The list is annually. So, annually, yan yung list. Pero, pwede din naman monthly. Monthly actually sa mga company. Kailangan monthly may reporting para ma-monitor nila kung ano nang nangyayari sa company every month. Meron din quarterly, meron din semi-annually. So, anong tawag dyan? Pagka shorter period ang financial statements, that is interim. Interim. Kasi within the year, sa gitna ng taon, mayroon kang financial statements na pinaprovide. Interim financial statements. So, annual and interim. Pag shorter than 1 year, it is called interim. Okay? And whose responsibility is the financial statements? The financial statements are the responsibility of the management. Again, management. It is not the responsibility of the accountant, the auditor, or kung sino man. The financial statement is the responsibility of the management. Remember that. Lalabas yan sa exam. Management is also responsible for selecting or applying the accounting policies. So, yung mga policies, bago makapag-prepare ng financial statements, may policies yan. May accounting policies per company. And that is the responsibility of the management. Okay? And then, in preparation of financial statements, of course, we have underlying presumptions or assumptions. We have the accrual basis and going concern assumption. Okay? Don't forget that. Accrual basis and going concern. Number 1, going concern muna. Madali lang yun eh. Alam mo na yun. Prepare ang financial statements on the assumption that the company will continue its business operations in the foreseeable future. So, absent any indication that the company will be undergoing a liquidation or will it be undergoing closure of business, it is presumed that it will continue to operate. Continue lang yon yung business na yon. Yung financial statements ay pinrovide assuming na yung company mag-ooperate pa rin. Hindi pa siya magsasara. That is going concern. And how about the accrual basis? Again, when you say accrual basis of accounting provides that income is recognized when it is earned, not when the cash is received. So when is the income earned? The income is earned when the goods are delivered and the services are rendered. So again, accrual basis of accounting, income is recognized when the income is earned, not when the cash is received. And expense is recognized when the expenses are incurred, kung kailan nagastos, kailan nagamit, not when the expense is paid. So remember that, ha? Lalabas yan.